All right, guys, this week we're going to be back on the truck to camper build that we've been working on. Now, the past couple of weeks, I have been adding some things kind of off camera. I'm going to get all you caught up on all that today. I even did some curtain sewing. I made curtains for the very first time. I used a sewing machine for the first time, and it turned out pretty cool. I'm excited to show you guys what I even made me a pillow to match the curtains because I had extra fabric. But I'm going to get you caught up on everything that I've kind of been adding to it over the last week or so since the last video where we did, I think the last one we did was the rear seat removal, and if you didn't see that, I'll link all the videos here and they'll be linked in the video description below. But so far we've built a bed on the back of this, an actual sleeping bed. It's got a drawer system underneath. We're working on adding solar panels to it so we can add power. That'll be up in an upcoming video. And today's video, though, we're going to be adding a GMRS radio system. So I want this on this truck, so when we go up north or we're in the mountains and we have no cell service, I want to be able to have a way to reach out and contact nearby people so that we can get help if we need them, or we can call for help if we're helping someone else out. Also, when we go on these overland trips with a group of people, we like to be able to communicate, you know, because most of the time you don't have cell service and it's a lot easier to be able to radio back and forth. So today I'm going to show you how I'm going to install that. I'm going to stick with the no drill hole theme that I've got going on so far. So far, believe it or not, I've built this truck out to this point without drilling any holes or doing any permanent modifications to this truck. I always try my best to stick with stuff that, you know, I can build in place, or if I ever decide to get rid of this truck or want to change it, I could make sure this truck goes back to it would look exactly factory. You know, the day I got it, I can make it go back to that and you wouldn't have any holes or any damage to the truck. So I bought some special stuff to install the radio today that is going to bolt on for the antenna, for the radio inside the truck. So we're not going to drill any holes. We're just going to run some wires, get everything mounted, and then test this thing out. And I've got some handhelds I want to show you guys too. So that's going to be pretty cool. So y'all stick around. This week, we're installing a GMRS radio system. So while we're on the subject of camping and overlanding and stuff like that, and before we get into the build today, I got to show you something that was sent to me that is a new addition to my shop, and it's something that most people wouldn't have in their shop, but I'm very excited to have it, and that is this London Sunshine food dehydrator. I love making my own jerky. The folks over at clickmycart.com, they reached out to me and said, hey, do you like making your own jerky? Can we send you this to share with your viewers? I was like, I love jerky, please send it to me. So it is the newest addition to my shop. I haven't got to use it yet. I just opened it this week, but this thing is awesome. It's got 8 pull-out stainless steel trays for dehydrating. I mean, if you want to do fruit, I guess you could do fruit, but we're not gonna be doing no fruit in this one. This one's gonna be for jerky because during camping season, during fall and stuff, you know, it's when most people like to camp. I love having jerky when I'm in the woods or when I'm out on the lake, and I love making my own jerky. I've had the same recipe that I've made for years, and if you guys are watching and you make your own jerky and you have some really cool recipes, hit me up in the comment section, send me an email. I would love to try out some of your recipes because you're gonna see this thing do some work this year, and I'll let you know how it goes in the next couple of videos. I plan on making me some this weekend, and yeah, this thing is really cool. So it's got 8 trays. You can actually set it all the way up to 185 degrees. It's got a built-in timer. It's even got a mode where if something was to happen and it was to get overly hot or too hot, it will immediately shut power to it. So it's got some built-in safety features. It's really cool. It comes with a bunch of extra stuff like mats and stuff if you want to do fruit rolls and stuff like that, which, like I said, this thing is a jerky machine. This is what's going to be pumping out my jerky for camping season. So y'all check it out. Click my cart's link is in the video description below. This is called the London Sunshine. This is the 8 rack. They've got a bigger one. I think they got one smaller, but this is the 8 rack system that they got. I think it's pretty cool, and I'm excited to use it. So anyway, let's get back to the build. I just had to share that with you guys. I appreciate you, Click My Cart, for sponsoring today's video. Now let me show you what all I've made for this camper shelf. So I tried my hand at running a sewing machine for the first time, and it turned out pretty cool. Check out my curtains. I made these curtains from some fabric that I picked up at Hobby Lobby for the very first time. This is my first time sewing, and I made some really cool curtains. They turned out all right. I'm not ashamed of them at all. Check out the pattern I found though. It's like, I don't know, some sort of camping theme. It's got all kind of cool stuff on it. Bears, hawks, snakes, deer, fish, all kind of neat stuff. And I even sewed it with a black back so that from the outside, My windows are completely blacked out. You can't see in there at all. And on the inside, I got that really cool pattern. What do y'all think about that? First time sewing ever. And it's not a solid piece, so I can actually split this so I can see when I'm driving out of the back. And then I've got two over here and then two over here that I can split if I want to. I even had fabric left over to make a matching pillowcase. I put black on the back and it matches the curtains. How cool is that? I found that at Hobby Lobby. Anyway, that is my first attempt at sewing. I just had to share that with you. Other than that, I hadn't really done any mods since the last truck video. The last video we did was where we removed the rear seats. Oh yeah, I made a matching cover for the dog bed. If you've seen the video where I deleted the rear seat and I built this really cool fold-up platform for I got the jackery, I got the refrigerator back here, but I made the dogs a bed so they could be up high and they could see out the window, and I covered it in the same fabric. How neat is that? So as for the radios that we're going to be using for this build this year, I went with a well-known company. I actually partnered with them last year, and that is Retevis. Last year we partnered with them for these handhelds they sent out. Me and my wife use these on hiking trips. We use them when we go out to the lake, and she's on her kayak and I'm on my kayak. It's really easy just to communicate back and forth. Been using these hardcore for a good, maybe 2 years now. So I know it's been over a year since we partnered with them with these. This year, we went back with Retevis. I contacted them, told them what we were doing. They said they'd love to be part of this build series. And we're gonna be installing a brand new unit into the truck, but they also sent out their RB17P GMRS handhelds. Now, these things are absolutely awesome. Let's see if I can show you the screen. Check it out. These things have all of your, I think it's 22 total GMRS radio stations or channels, and it's got the 8 repeater stations. So if you've got local repeaters, for those of you that know what I'm talking about, repeaters are bases that are kind of set up where you can actually extend the range for people that, if you hit that repeater, you can go a little bit further. At least that's what I've found out over the past week researching all this. But they sent out a pair of these RB17Ps, and me and my wife are gonna be able to use these. Me and other people. I mainly wanted these handhelds because we can talk to other mobile stations like the one we're going to be putting in the truck today. If somebody's on a trail with us or they're in their truck and we're going through the mountains and they don't have a GMRS radio in their rig or their truck or their car or whatever they're in, I can hand them one of these handhelds and they can communicate with us. These are 5 watts each, so they will go really far. Me and my son actually tested these out this week. He got in his car, I stood out in the yard, and he just drove, and we kept talking, crystal clear, and he got, I think, 2.5 miles, and we're kind of in a valley here, so if it was open peak to peak, I think he could have gotten further, but he was a good 2.5 miles away at a store, talking to me in the parking lot, and it was crystal clear, and I was standing on my front porch. So these things are really cool. They've even got the National Weather Service, is that what it's called? The NOAA?
The temperature
the NOAA, I guess is what you call it, but it'll tell you if the weather's bad or whatever, and you just hit the button and find out if the weather's bad, and your local NOAA will actually be on there communicating at all times. These are really cool, and they've got charging base stations. These don't take batteries, like a AAA or anything. These take hardcore lithium batteries that are popped into the back, and you can have a little base station that plugs in, and they're USB ready. So we're gonna take a base station when we go camping with us at all times. So if a radio goes dead, we can charge it here. And I've also got another base station here in the shop where I'm gonna keep the radios charging at all times here at the shop in between trips and stuff like that. So check these things out. They're on Amazon. They are really, really cheap. I've got the link in the video description, and I think when I looked at these last night, Amazon had their own coupon going. So you can check that out. If there's a coupon there, it's not mine, it'll be an Amazon coupon, but you can check it out and get these really cheap, and they are GMRS handheld radios. These are not walkie-talkies. These aren't the ones that you get at Walmart. These are legit business. You can even remove these antennas and add better antennas to get longer, distances and stuff out. So check these out. But that is the handhelds that we're gonna be using for the big boy right here that we're gonna be, I say big, this thing is actually super compact. This is their new RT85 mobile unit, and I'm opening it for the first time with you guys. I kind of just cut the tape on the box about 5 minutes ago. Comes with the instructions. This is how big this unit is. Super small, guys. Look at this. That's in one hand. That's all it is right there. It's got the color screen on it. I think you can change the colors and stuff. We'll play with it once we get it installed. But the wiring is super simple. We're gonna run the wires. I'm gonna tap into my fuse box. I've got me some of those inline fuse things that we've used here on the channel before, where I just tapped in so that I could wire lights and stuff up. We're gonna do the same thing with this, so we can just run the wires straight to the fuse box. The mic is right here. It's got all the channels and stuff built into the mic right there. Really lightweight, but you can tell it's solid. This isn't like one of those super cheap ones, you know, you would get at a truck stop or a gas station or something. This thing's pretty solid, but it's got your handheld mic. It's got all the programs, right, all the programmable buttons there. You got your wiring and you got your mount. Now, you know, I said earlier that we're not going to be drilling any holes into this truck when we mount this. So I also got on Amazon and started looking around for other stuff. And while I was on there, first I got on Google and I typed in CB radios in a Toyota Tacoma 3rd gen, no drill. And I found this, and it ended up being on Amazon. It's pretty expensive for what it is, I'm not gonna lie. I think this was like 80 something bucks, and it's just a piece of metal. But this piece of metal is gonna keep me from drilling a hole into the side of my console and mounting a radio, because it is supposed to, it's got some brackets and stuff right there, but this little piece of metal, it was 80 something dollars, is gonna mount into the stud. So if you're sitting in the passenger seat of my truck, the front left stud of the seat, you take the nut off, slide this over and tighten it down, and this is molded to fit right up against the console, right in between the truck. And you'll see in a minute when we mount it. But this goes against there, and the radio mounts against it like this at an angle, so that I can just reach over, I can change the stations if I need to, and it's mounted just like that on the side, out of the way, no drilling required at all. We can run the wires at that point right behind the console, so everything's nice and hidden, and we can get everything tucked away. That also goes for the antenna, which I hadn't even showed you guys the antenna yet, but I'll show you the mount I found. This is a mount that I also found on Amazon, and it's designed, can you see the side of my truck? Yeah, you can. It's designed to take these two screws out of the tailgate, and it mounts right here. Can y'all see that? Yeah, you can kind of see that. You'll see it up close when we install it in just a minute though. But it's just a bolt on. You take those two bolts out, they go back through here, this bolt's on there. The antenna, which I'm probably gonna be changing the antenna out. I told them to send me this one. It's really tall, and then I found out there's some ghost ones out there that are really short. This one I will, like when I'm in the garage, I'm gonna probably take it off until we go out on a trip, because it's kind of tall for my rig. Now if you were mounting it low, it'd be fine, but since we're planning on mounting it, you know, way up here like this, it's gonna put it pretty high above the truck, and I don't really want it that high, but we're gonna install it today so that we can use it. It does have a spring on it, so it's gonna be heavy duty. This is also on Amazon. You can get just the antenna. It's fiberglass too, so it's really heavy duty. But what I can do is get it mounted up, you know, the way it goes, and then it just unscrews. So I can keep the antenna part in the bed of the truck, and then when we go on a trip, we get up on the mountains, when I leave the house and I know I'm not gonna be going in and out of my garage door, I can just screw this back on and have my antenna on the back of the truck, and this thing will get some good reception. Because I forgot to mention, this bad boy right here is 40 watts. So that's 40 watts is huge in terms of, you pair that with a good antenna, you can cover miles and miles of range with this little unit that we're gonna be installing. But like, think about it, this is a 5-watt radio, and we got a few miles out of it just playing around in the front yard. This is a 40 watt that's gonna be hardwired into my truck with that massive antenna. We're gonna be able to reach through the mountains, you know, to be able to talk to each other with this thing. So I'm really excited to have this in my truck. Anyway, that is it. That is what we're gonna be installing. I'll probably just set you guys up really quick and show you kind of the highlights of how I'm installing it. It's nothing complicated. The wiring is just gonna be, I'll show you the wire real quick that I'm using. I should have had it out already. It is one of these guys right here. And it's just an add-a-fuse. Let's see if I can, there you go. This thing right here. See, well, all you do is you pull a fuse out of your fuse panel on your truck, and then this pops in and replaces that fuse panel, and then you've got two fuse spots here. One will be the one that you removed from the truck. It'll go back in here, and then this fuse, what do I got in here right now? That's a 5. I'll probably up that to like a 15, but then that is the fuse for the radio. And then this end right here is just gonna tie into our radio harness right here. So it's gonna be easy. We're just gonna get it wired in, and when we're done, we'll go out here and we'll test this thing out. All right, guys, we have flashed forward a few weeks. We're 3 weeks into the future since you just seen the beginning of this video. That's because I wanted to give this radio a trial run. I wanted to learn how to use it and actually use it so I could tell you guys more about it. We are in my backyard, and if you haven't heard it yet, you're gonna hear my rooster crowing probably for the rest of this video. Every time I come out here, he just starts crowing and he won't shut up until I go back inside. So anyway, since the beginning of this video, when I did the install with you guys, you just watched that, I've had a few weeks and I've added some stuff to the truck. So you're gonna see some things different on the inside of the back, like this rooftop tent that we just put on the top. If you didn't see these videos, that tent is awesome. This was actually last week's video. So if you missed this video where I installed this rooftop tent, I found this thing on Amazon, dirt cheap, and it is the best rooftop tent that I have ever owned. It's amazing. If you guys hadn't seen that video, I'm gonna link it here, but definitely go check out that video. And I've changed some stuff up on the back, and those were over the last few weeks, the videos that were on my channel. So if you missed them, make sure you go to my homepage, check it out. If you like what you see there, make sure you hit that subscribe button, because I'm gonna be building this truck out over the rest of this season, and we're gonna do some crazy adventures this fall. So y'all stick with me and hang out. I'm gonna be doing some really cool stuff. I'm excited for these trips. But anyway, this video is about the testing of this radio system. So I took the radio after we got it installed. I took it up on Coldwater Mountain and Cheehaw Mountain here in Alabama, and I kind of tested them out, this one with the handhelds, and this one was picking up people on the other side of the mountain. I was actually having conversations with guys out there, and I could also talk to the handhelds that I've got up to about 4 or 5 miles on that mountain, and I could hear them at some points and they couldn't hear me on the handheld because the handheld couldn't get as far out. But it was still, the handheld was working perfect up to about 3 or 4 miles, and then I could still hear them on mine for miles. You know, they couldn't hear me, but I could hear them every time they would click the button out there. So this thing is awesome. So I'm gonna show you really quick how I've got the antenna mounted in the back, show you a few upgrades that I've added since the beginning of this video to the back, and then I'll show you the inside, how I've got it set up inside my truck. So y'all check it out. All right, so as for the back area, here's the antenna, and it's got that spring. It's really, really heavy duty. This is the mount that I went with. You've seen me install at the beginning of the video. All I did was take these 2 bolts out, put the plate up, and then put the bolts right back in, and it works great. As you can tell, you can open and shut the tailgate. It clears just fine, and it works really good. Even with the cap, I was worried that my lid right here, or my back window, was gonna interfere with it, and it works just great with that. No issues at all. But you see how I was talking how tall it is, and it's mainly because I've got it mounted so high. Most guys will mount this to like their bumper down here, so it sticks up about even with the top. Since I went with a no drill and I didn't want to, you know, mount anything to the side of my bumper, I'm kind of dealing with this, but it's also really easy, as you've seen, to take on and take off. You just grab it, twist it one good time, and you can unscrew this thing and take it off and throw it in the back of the truck. And that's what I've been doing, because it just sticks up a hair too high for me to be able to get in and out of my garage. But really quick, while I'm back here, check out my addition. So at the beginning of the video, I didn't have this added. This little wall I built, I carpeted it so it would hold my bed. And then I built this little power area right here, which controls my lights. If you're interested in any of this and you haven't seen the video, like I said, you can go to my channel and you can see exactly how I built this whole area, the lights, this little wall here, and it turned out great. I'm happy with it. But now I will show you guys how the radio looks on the inside. So if you are wiring this up in a Tacoma like mine, there's a fuse panel right up under here that you've seen me, I guess at the end of that little montage I done, where I was wiring it in, and that's where your fuse panel is. That's where you tie it in. You don't have to go under your hood to run, you know, any kind of wires to your battery or anything like that. You just plug it into your fuse panel and you're good to go. Oh, let me get in here really quick. See if I can film in here with you guys. All right, so now you just hit your button and see how it turns on with everything. Here's the mount I was telling you that come with it. It's just a little peel and stick hook, and you got this little hole right here on the back of your handheld, and it hangs up right there. And here it is mounted up. No holes were drilled at all. Like I said, you see me mount this bar. You got your knobs for your stations. You can change your channels, or I keep saying stations, but it's actually just channels. And it works really, really good. I really am surprised at how clear everything is with this. I can't wait to get some actual footage of me using it so you guys can see it. You can change the colors of this thing, really. I mean, it's only got like 3 or 4 colors that you can change it from on this one, but you can go to the lighter green or the yellow, and then it's mainly just tone colors that you're changing on this. But it's so small, you kind of forget it's even in the truck, and when you need it, you know, it'll be there. But this is, you know, the only thing that I really notice in the truck when I'm driving is because I can see these lit up. This is kind of just tucked away on the side there, and you can see there's kind of a shot of everything right there. That's how my whole setup is. I've got my radio here, then up here I've got, you know, my phone mount, and I've got my camera mount right here. And it's kind of just tucked over there to the side. I think it's an easy way to mount one of these radios in your truck. One of the cool things that I forgot to mention about this radio is if you've got 2 of these, or you and a buddy has one of these radios like this, you can actually tie these together and create your own repeater base station, where you can actually, I kind of went over it at the beginning of the video, where you can boost a signal and get further range, where you can go miles and miles further than you actually could if you just had one of these. So you kind of create your own base station with this. So anyway, that is the radios I've installed in my truck. I'm going to use them throughout this year, and so if you're interested more in seeing these things actually used, make sure you subscribe to the channel, because we got some adventures coming up where we're going to do some overlanding up north, and we're going to have other trucks with radios, and we're going to be putting these things through their paces. Everything is found on Amazon. I'm going to have links to everything you've seen today: the handhelds, the antenna cable, the radio itself, the mounting, the brackets, all of that stuff I found on Amazon. I'll have links in the video description of this video, where if you're interested in putting one of these in your truck, they're really cheap, guys. And for the price, it's really, if you're into overlanding and you do a lot of camping and you're out in kind of in the middle of nowhere where you might not have cell service, it's good to have one of these in the truck. And as easy as they are to install and as cheap as they are, I think everybody should actually have one of these in their truck. They're a really good backup for when, you know, cell phones aren't available, or you need to get help, or you need to help someone else out. So anyway, I'm gonna put them through their paces this year, and I will keep you guys updated on how they do. Like I said, if you wanna get you some, they will be linked in the video description. And that's gonna do it for this week's video, guys. I really appreciate you guys watching. If you're new to the channel, make sure you hit that subscribe button. I upload videos every single week. Every Monday at 6 o'clock, I upload videos. And on Instagram, as I'm filming a video, I'll add things to my Instagram that I don't really put on here on YouTube. So make sure you're following me over there on Instagram at Kayak USA. So I'm always there uploading content, little short clips and stuff like that. So y'all be sure to follow me there, and I'll catch you next Monday at 6 o'clock. Peace.